It's time to do trade show marketing like a man. Welcome to the third episode of the Market Like a Man podcast. I'm Wes Schaefer, the Sales Whisperer, your host, back from a couple of weeks of hectic travel. I got to speak at Social Media Marketing World in San Diego. That was a good gig. And just had a booth at Icon 15, Infusionsoft's annual conference. So had a booth there, spoke there as well. Very well received. A couple hundred people in the audience. Jam-packed the booth afterwards, making sales. Gotta love it. But man, it was tiring. So skipped a week just due to travel, and my mom was in town. It was my birthday last Friday. I had Easter. So you know what? I just chilled out a bit. And so wanted to go over some things, though, on lessons learned over the last couple of weeks, especially with having a booth at the trade show. And I wanted to make sure that I got these lessons learned out quickly while it was still fresh in my brain. So what I've done over the last several days, I made a quick video yesterday, put it up on YouTube, and I embedded it on my website as well on a blog post. Market Your Trade Show Booth Like a Man is the actual podcast or the blog post name. I'll link to it as well from this episode. So if you visit either thesaleswhisper.com/podcasts, you'll see this in the just in order. If you're listening to this after the fact, then you may want to go into, just type in the URL, thesaleswhisper.com/man3, so MAN3, and that'll redirect to this. But one of the things that really stood out, and I'm glad I stood my ground on this with my team, but we had a very good flyer. Okay, so with the booth came the rights to include a flyer, an insert into the welcome bag for attendees. And so the flyer was really bold. It stood out. It was not cluttered with a lot of words. And it's kind of ironic coming from me. I love words. I love writing. I'm convinced that words help you sell, right? Words mean things. But the timeless adage, I've got my book here, The Secret of the Ages from Robert Collier, and I'll link to that as well. But he had always said, you must enter the conversation going on in the mind of the prospect. And so I got to witness this in person. I was actually by the registration booth, and I stood behind a lady that sat down at a couch they had nearby, and she opened her bag and she sorted through all of the material in the welcome kit. And again, I did a video of this. I laid everything out on my floor in my office and videoed it. And most of the material was busy. It was cluttered. It was a lot of Me Too sort of stuff, Me Too kind of colors. Infusionsoft has this kind of light green and orange, kind of color scheme. And although they were rocking some kind of neon orange, but my insert, it was primarily black, and on the other side is kind of a light gray. Big, bold wording and letters. I had a picture of me I took years ago, me kind of pointing with sunglasses, kind of challenging you. We were really bold with the icon and the mustache. And I watched this lady sort through all of her goodies in there, and she just rifled through, boom, 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 boom. And she got to mine, and I saw her stop. And she paused, and she took the time to look it over. She turned it over, looked on both sides of it, and then she tucked it away, right? So I could tell at a minimum, one little point of reference, but it made an impact. But over those 3 days, I can't tell you how many people came up and complimented us on the flyer. They came up and said, this is what got me here. Okay, and then obviously the booth matched it, the look and feel. We had the logo really bold. And that, is another thing we talk about all the time in your marketing, that is being congruent. Okay, things must flow. They must be consistent. You can't have this market like a man with a big mustache and black and gray and have them show up to a fluorescent pink booth. Okay, I mean, it's an extreme example, but you get the point. So we were really consistent with that. We were bold. We stood out, right? We entered the conversation going on in the mind of the prospect. So these prospects showing up to an event, they are tired, right? Maybe they're jet lagged. This was truly an international event. I mean, people were coming from Sweden and Australia and New Zealand and the UK and Canada. I mean, they came from everywhere. And so maybe they're jet lagged. A lot of people are partying, right? Unfortunately for me, I didn't speak till day 3, so I had to mind my P's and Q's. And I was also just at the tail end of a heavy dose of antibiotics getting over bronchitis. So fortunately, I was not hungover every day of the event. But again, you're entering the conversation, going on the mind of the prospect. Put yourself in their shoes. So what are you going to do to stand out to a jet-lagged, tired, hungover, busy, distracted entrepreneur? Does your content stand out in that crowd? Okay? And then related to that, does your content ruffle some feathers? There's an old adage that, if you don't piss somebody off by noon, then you're not marketing. And so I had this little picture frame made. My wife, my neighbor made this cool thing, and we were doing selfies, and I had the big mustache and Market Like a Man and my URL for the saleswhisper.com on there. So people are taking pictures, they're sharing them socially. And so a lady and a friend of mine, she's an Infusionsoft partner, she took the picture and she uploaded it and said, "Hey, having a great time at Icon." And a friend of hers, a self-admitted feminist that is disappointed in the feminist movement, immediately commented and said, "What does a penis have to do with marketing?" And this thing went on, and I did screenshots of the entire dialogue. And now she was having it with her friend. I stayed out of it. I've blocked their pictures and their names, but you can read the thread. And this woman was pretty hot, and her friends were jumping in. Now, mind you, they weren't at the event, but there were a couple of people that came up and maybe were displeased at first, or certainly they had their guard up, but they would come. But you know what? There's quite a few people, I'm sure, that did not come by the booth. And you know what? Point 3 of my 7 steps to a social media sales success that I gave at Social Media Marketing World, but I've given this talk in one form or another for years, and that point is you must choose who to lose, okay? A magnet repels to the same degree that it attracts. So why do I want to talk with someone that would be offended by the Market Like a Man slogan? Why do I want to talk to them at all? Because we're not going to be a match. Okay, if you got my sales agenda, if you go to thesalesagenda.com, you can get my free agenda that I've used for nearly a decade to close a lot of business. And the very first point that we cover is the reason we're going to meet is to see if there's a fit, okay, to see if it's a match for us to work together. And just because you have money doesn't mean we're a match. Okay, and you need to understand that as well. You need to be clear with yourself that you're not out there just whoring yourself out for whoever has a buck. Okay, so choose who to lose. So the fact that some people may have been turned off by the message, that's fine. That means I don't have to waste my time with those people. Okay, talking to someone who is not qualified and missing the chance to speak to somebody that's fired up, okay? And there were a lot of people that said, "I love this messaging. I love what's going on." And if you look at the pictures that we took, primarily the majority of them were with women, okay? And my mom's working the booth with me. And so if people had an attitude, she's like, "I'm his mother. He's got 5 daughters. There's no male chauvinistic thing going on here," because nowhere in that message does it say market like a man because it's the best way, or market like a man because women are weak. It doesn't say that. It's like that old Rorschach's whatever test they call it, that a guy says, "I don't know who this guy is, but why does he keep painting pictures of my parents fighting?" Okay, so just because you're reading something into it doesn't mean it's true. And it really did help me identify and discern who has an issue, who has an inferiority complex. Okay, but I promise you, out of the dozens of vendors there, people remembered my booth and my message. And that's what you're striving for, okay? But then you've got to be clear also on your goal of the trade show. And I've learned this. This is my 3rd time in a row and 4th time overall having a booth at Infusionsoft's Icon. I don't do a lot of trade shows, but I may start doing more because honestly, I wasn't very good at them. I just for whatever reason. I haven't really had to do them. I don't like traveling. They are kind of tiring. But as I get better at it, you know what, I probably will do more. But you got to be clear on your goal. One thing that I've learned and really looked at this year, as the offers others were doing, and a lot of people, I know a lot of these guys and gals, and so I get some honest answers. And the things that really work is having a humongous sale. Okay. One of the guys had some software there that they released, and it helped that they won an award. So they got tremendous publicity. Okay. But they were selling their software at like 80% off. And the excuse was that it was brand new, which it was, and it was at a trade show. It was at that event. So there was an excuse for the discount. So if you're going to make sales, you want something like that. That's a deep discount. I had physical items, right? My books and CDs, but I packaged them. I sold more packages at $100 than one-off items at $50 or even $20. Okay, so figure out how to bundle physical things that people want. And so, the nice thing is they save money because it was a package deal. It was a special at ICOM. They save. There's no taxes, okay, because I'm not an Arizona entity, and there was no shipping. And that was a big deal for international people because my one big Infusionsoft book can cost $25 to ship. Okay, so having something physical and lower cost, right? That was easy to buy. Right? $100 is no big deal for people at a trade show. So have something with a big discount, have something that's tangible they can wrap their hands around and touch, okay? Or go for generating leads that you're going to follow up with a big offer, okay? Now, I've seen others, and I didn't see it at this event, but I have bought $6,000 training packages at conferences, okay? So you can have a high-ticket item, but the guy that was doing that had a good system. He had people that you would basically meet with them at the booth, and they would set a time for a one-on-one time for you to meet with this guy. And so you actually left the exhibit hall and had a one-on-one session with him. Okay, so big ticket items like that can work. But again, I've done a lot in high tech, selling very expensive things, and so if you don't really want to have a sale on a $50,000 piece of test equipment, okay, you can have a little discount, but so you want to make sure you've got something that entices people to stop and entices them to give you their information so you can follow up. And the follow-up is where the money is. Having a process in place so nobody falls through the cracks and have a great offer to make sure that you have a positive ROI on that event, okay? Because we scanned, at last look, it was 137 names on the spreadsheet, and I'm going over it with my team right now, and they're already calling these people, already reaching out to these people, and the reason we're calling, again, is to be different. Nobody else at that event, I'm 99% sure, are making follow-up calls. Okay, they all are wanting to do emails. The email I'm sending is only two. The immediate one is great to meet you at the conference. Have a nice summer. And then I have a delayed timer out 2 months that'll send an email to them saying, can you believe it's been 2 months? How are things going? Did you hear my big Decker, the diabolical barking right there? So those are the two emails, right? Now, that's not all that we're doing. My salespeople are assigned as owners of these leads. And I have a detailed campaign. And actually, it's what I trained on at Icon 15 was this follow-up campaign. Now, this is for outbound calls. Now, remember, though, InfusionCon is different. I'm entering the conversation going on in the mind of the prospect. At different events, I follow up differently. But at Icon, everybody is expecting to get pummeled with emails because it's an email marketing software. So I have to do the exact opposite, okay, to a degree. Now, I'm still reaching out to people through social media. I have different opt-ins. I had an opt-in for people to get a report through text messaging. All right, so we have cell phones for some of these people. I had web forms where people could get different free reports. And obviously, we scanned them. We scrub the database for duplicates and merge them. So then we know really how interested is somebody in the stuff that we're doing. Okay. But those are the two simple messages that we're sending out in the very beginning. And you know what? So to start the month, we're 8 days into it. I've already processed 51 orders. Okay, and these are small and large. Some of these are digital. Some of these are physical products. But it's $5,537.64. Okay, just from these first few days, and some of that is from the trade show. Okay, so at this pace, and we'll probably accelerate it, but that puts us on track to do $22,000 this month, not counting other sales, not counting residual income that I get from book sales and from Infusionsoft, which is quite healthy. So this could easily be a $40,000 month, okay, and half of that from a trade show, okay, just from the first month. And again, that doesn't count Infusionsoft sales that we made there. And I let my sales guys close that and keep the upfront and do the training, and I keep the residual. So that becomes cumulative, $700 to $1,000 a year forever. So it's a lot of things really add on and go into this mix. Okay. And yeah, in an ideal world, my goal next year is to have a $50,000 InfusionCon conference. Okay. But numbers like that are scary. I did not do that my first year. I haven't done that in 3 years. Okay. But I'm making my money back from the event. I'm generating leads. I'm closing leads eventually through a detailed but simple follow-up process. So I want you to take the courage, right? I want you to be inspired and believe that you can do the same thing, okay? But you have to commit to two things. One, be different, and then two, be consistent. Okay, if you are different, people will notice you. And if you're consistent in your messaging and your marketing and how you follow up, then things will fall into place. I love it. A friend of mine, Raven, was in my session, and she posted just today that her takeaway from my talk was, you don't have to be fancy, you just have to be consistent. And I'm seeing a trend now in the marketplace in general, and I was speaking at Social Media Marketing World. There's a big resurgence, a big new interest in sales training. And I know exactly why that is. It's because people are tired of being busy and not being profitable. I know a ton of people that appear successful and happy, and you would envy their apparent lifestyle, but deep down they are struggling. Okay, I'm going on 20 years of marriage this September. 20 years ago, my wife quit her day job to marry an Air Force dude, leave her home where she had never left, and move to South Mississippi, okay, to be the wife of an Air Force guy. She has stayed home for 20 years. Okay, we've got 7 kids, got a house, 4 cars. This month we'll have 4 teenagers in the house. My oldest is going to college. We have all this going on, and it's all been done, at least the income from me. Now, my wife is fulfilling, right? She's doing the books. She's shipping books and CDs out, talking with clients that have questions. So fortunately, my assistants have taken a chunk of that off of her, but she still oversees all of that. So she's still a big part of it, but she's not selling, right? She's not processing, talking to prospects and making the money. I make the money, okay? And my point is, if you're listening to me, at least you're getting straight talk, okay? So slow down a little bit. You don't need 75 ways to make money on Instagram. Okay, you don't need 197 ways to make money with social media. All that's going to do is wear your butt out. Okay, and the people that are in those worlds are tired, they're worn out, they're not profitable, and they're like, and look, I know these guys call me and gals. I do Infusionsoft support behind the scenes for a lot of people, a lot of big names. Now, a lot of these big names are making a lot of money. Okay. and you usually know who they are. They usually disclose their incomes, and they're killing it. But the overwhelming majority of people out there that you see, they're not making it happen. Okay, and you need to look at your own situation as well. Okay, I just turned 45. Again, married almost 20 years now, 7 kids. I'm not waking up and surfing and on a whim flying to Thailand to hang out with the monkeys in the rainforest. Okay, I'm not doing yoga in the desert and becoming one with the universe. Okay, I got kids that want to eat. I got kids that need to put new clothes on their back. I got kids that need help with homework. We got chores to get done. Okay, this is reality, and it's reality for most of you listening to this. So I just want you to make sure that you're listening to the right people and that you are giving yourself credit for doing the right things. Okay. If you're frustrated at where you are, I get it. I understand. I'm frustrated. Despite all this growth, I have bigger goals. Okay. But if you start to get overwhelmed with it, take a moment and look back at how far you've come. Okay. And that should give you the motivation to stay the course. Okay. And staying the course and seeing things through is really what this is all about. When people ask me, what is this market like a man? My honest answer is doing what it takes for as long as it takes until it gets done. And only you can determine, what it is. Okay. What is it you want to get done? So stick it out, stay the course. You're not alone. Welcome to the Market Like a Man world, where women are certainly welcome, because women really are the inspiration and I think the motivation behind most, if not all, successful men. I heard a joke that said, behind every successful man is a shocked woman, but I won't go there. Well, look, thanks for listening. In line with the idea of selling, I encourage you to check out 30-Day Sales Growth. Enter the word podcast, all lowercase. You can save $30 on the program and get into that, right? Get in and master selling. And because I promise you, marketing is just selling in print. If you're not comfortable selling, then all of this busy work, all these new applications, all these new gizmos are not going to help you reach your goals, okay? And if it's trade shows you want to do, hey, go back and listen to this and go to thesaleswhisperer.com, look at the past posts that I made. Like I said, I will link to the posts that I made on this and then the notes as well. You can visit thesaleswhisperer.com/man3. This is the 3rd edition of the Market Like a Man podcast, rebranded from the Sales Podcast. So technically, this is really the 117th episode. But hey, thanks for listening, and remember to market like a man.